Have you ever wondered why anger, an emotion we would rather avoid, often seems to be at the forefront of our relationships? It's an intriguing paradox, isn't it? Despite our best efforts, anger somehow manages to make an appearance in our interactions, casting a shadow over our bonds and connections. Anger, as a raw, primal emotion, is universal. It's a response to unmet expectations, feelings of injustice, or perceived threats. It's our mind's way of signaling that something isn't quite right. Yet it's not the existence of anger that poses a problem. It's how we handle it. In the realm of relationships, anger can be a destructive force or a catalyst for change, depending on how we choose to express it. It can tear apart the strongest of bonds or, when harnessed properly, can lead to profound understanding and growth. Understanding that anger is a part of life can help us approach it with a healthier mindset. But how do we do that? Tune in to find out. I remember a time when my partner and I had a disagreement over something trivial, which escalated into a heated argument. Suddenly, a small misunderstanding had blown out of proportion, and we were both seething with anger. Instead of addressing the issue, we both retreated into our corners, giving each other the silent treatment. Days turned into a week, each of us stewing in our own resentment, refusing to be the first to break the silence. It was a stalemate. But the issue at hand, it remained unresolved, buried beneath layers of unspoken words and unaddressed feelings. This silence, this cold war of sorts, didn't help us reach a resolution. Instead, it widened the chasm between us, making the original disagreement seem insignificant in comparison. The silent treatment, while a common response to anger, often deepens the divide. So what should we do instead? In another instance, when a disagreement arose, we decided to take a different approach. Instead of allowing our anger to simmer in silence, we chose to communicate openly about our feelings. It was like stepping into a field with landmines, knowing well that any wrong step could trigger an explosion. But we took that risk. Acknowledging our anger was the first step. We admitted that we were upset, frustrated, even furious at times, but we did so without pointing fingers, without blaming each other. We expressed our emotions as exactly that, our emotions, not the fault or failure of the other person. We learned that it's okay to feel angry, but it's not okay to use that anger as a weapon against each other. This approach wasn't always easy. There were times when we wanted to retreat back into silence, but we pushed through, and we found that open communication fostered understanding and empathy. Open communication, then, seems to be a more effective response to anger. But is there more we can do? Over time, I've discovered a few strategies that have helped me manage anger more effectively in my relationships. Firstly, taking a time out can be incredibly beneficial. When tempers flare, it's often best to step away, cool down, and return to the conversation when emotions aren't running so high. Secondly, practicing deep breathing exercises can help to reduce feelings of anger. By focusing on your breath, you're able to calm your mind and body, making it easier to approach the situation from a place of tranquility. Another strategy is using I statements. Instead of saying, "You make me angry when you," try saying, "I feel upset when." This shifts the conversation from accusatory to explanatory, fostering a more constructive dialogue. Lastly, strive to understand before being understood. Empathize with your partner's perspective, and you'll likely find they're more open to understanding yours. These strategies require practice and patience, but they can significantly improve the way we handle anger in our relationships. So, what have we learned about managing anger in relationships? We've acknowledged that anger is an inevitable emotion, even in the healthiest of relationships. It's not the presence of anger that leads to discord, but how we handle it. We've learned the silent treatment often exacerbates issues, creating a chasm of misunderstanding. It's important to remember that silence can be deafening and can cause more harm than good. We've also addressed the power of open communication. It's key to express feelings honestly, yet respectfully, fostering understanding rather than conflict. Verbalizing our emotions prevents them from festering and causing further damage. In addition, we've discussed various strategies for managing anger. These include taking a time out to cool down, practicing deep breathing exercises, and seeking professional help if necessary. Remember, anger is not the enemy. It's how we respond to it that determines the health of our relationships.